Hi everyone, Jaimie Madison here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and blog. Today we're going to be playing with the Simon Says Stamp September Mermaid card kit. So this is my second time using this card kit, and I wanted to play with this mermaid that had the starfish in her hand. I'm going to stamp this on some Bristol Smooth 300 paper, and I'm going to be using my Simon Says Stamp ink today. So I won't be doing any heat embossing. I wanted to give this ink a really good chance to see if it would be working well with the way I do watercoloring. So far so good. I did notice that it does kind of spread out a little bit, almost like a blurry lines. It's not crisp lines on my paper. So I'm not quite sure if it was just my paper that day or what. But I had to end up stamping this twice. So I went through the whole stamp set and I grabbed the fishes and the seahorses, the seagrass, and the sea plants. I ended up doing another whole sheet of seagrass and a couple more fishes as well. They wouldn't all fit on this page, but I spared you the stamping details on that one. So I'm going to start off with my Sapphire Blue, that's the 131, and I'm going to color my fishes with that, and then I'm going to go in with the 105 in Lemon Yellow and finish coloring my fishies with that yellow as well. As you notice, I leave a little bit of white in between the two yellows and the blue. That gives it a little bit of a highlight, so it looks like the light is reflecting off of the fish in the water. So now I'm going in with my Pear Green. This is the 170, and I'm coloring in my sea plants along with my seagrass in that Pear Green. And I'm going to go back in with my 126 in Crocodile Green, and I'm going to do the highlights as the Pear Green and the shadow as the Crocodile Green. I like the way those two colors play off each other. They're my go-to when I'm doing stems or leaves. So I thought it would be really nice to do the plants this color as well. It almost looks like seaweed to me. So I just went ahead and blended that out with my water brush pen. I do keep water in this pen. There is water in there. I just keep a paper towel to my right, and I squeeze out a tad bit of water on my black, so if I'm doing tiny little spots in detail, I'll grab it off my black, but other than that, I do use the water that is in my water pen. So I'll just kind of go back and forth from my towel, wiping off the excess water because it does continually push out water. So I don't want a whole blob of water going on my page. So that is why I have the paper towel right there to my right. So let's get back to the coloring. I'm doing this clam here. I end up using 3 colors for this little clam. I used the light skin, which is 135. I used Bubblegum Pink, which is 149. And then at the very end, I went through with the grape purple in 148. I really like the way that these colors work together for this little clam because when I look at clams, I think of the flesh that is inside the clams. So those colors really made the clam look pretty, I think. And then I just blended that out with my water pen. So here I'm going to color my seahorses. I actually ended up not using these in the final product, so I just put them in a little bowl for later if I wanted to use them for another project. But I colored those in, I believe it's called Wisteria Purple in 188. I could be pronouncing that incorrect. And then for his fins and his little mohawk, I did the 147 in Lime Green. I do like the way that they turned out. They're super cute. I just didn't have any room for them on my card. It was starting to get too overwhelming and too full, so I just had to opt them out of the card. Now I'm going in with my 183 in Blush Red and coloring in this little seashell that's going to be on the bottom of my sea floor. And then after that, I'm done coloring my little images. I'm going to cut those all out and I'm going to work on my mermaid. So for her tail, I did a 149 Bubblegum Pink, and I did leave a little bit of white there at the bend of her tail. All my light source I'm wanting is coming from the right of my card is what I was thinking when I was doing the coloring, but I'm not really making sure my light source is correct. It's just more of what feels good to me at that time. Then I'm going in with my 190 Rouge Pink, and I'm just going to color that in for her shadowing. So like I said, I like to work lightest to darkest, so that's why I went with the Bubblegum Pink first, and then I go in with the Rouge Pink to give that more of a deeper color. And then after this dries, I actually go back in with my Rouge Pink and do a little bit deeper colors. You'll see at the very end when I'm finishing her up. Then for her skin tone, I went with 134 in Coffee and 137 in Tawny. Now the first time I tried coloring her in, her skin got very blotchy because I was using the markers directly on the paper. So this situation, what I did was I took both of those colors and mixed them on my acrylic and went in and added them that way, and it turned out beautiful. The seams were perfect. I mean, I didn't see any lines or grouping of the color. It just blended so much better. So if you're having any issues with your Artezas blotching up on you, and you just find a color that's just really hard to blend, it's really giving you a hard time, try putting it on acrylic block and adding water that way, and then bringing that to your image. That's what I did in this situation, and it worked out perfectly for me. I really liked the way her skin tone turned out, but I was really shocked at how blotchy it was the first time when I was using just my markers, because I haven't come across many colors from Arteza that have done that. There have been a couple blues that have done that to me, but I haven't had any browns do that to me. So that was a first on that part. So we just worked around it. We made it work for us. Now to keep it from blotching up on me while it was drying, I went ahead and did take my heat tool and dried her before I kept going. So if you want, you hurry up and dry it. Make sure it's going to stay the way that you intend it to be. Then I went through with that Rouge Pink and did her headband. And I went with the 178 in Ginger and did the starfish. Now I'm going in with the 135 in Light Skin, and I'm doing her whole hair in the light skin. I really wanted like a nice light blonde, but I didn't want to be a yellow blonde. So the light skin was as close as I was going to get to the color that I was aiming for. And I really liked the way her hair turned out. I'm going to have to remember this combination for future videos. And then I forgot to color in the back of her fin there, her butt area. So I hurried and touched that up real quick. So after I finished with the light skin, I'm going to go back in with the 178, the ginger that we used for the starfish, and that's where I'm going to start adding in my deeper color for her hair. These colors worked beautiful together. As you see, I'm just putting out a little bit of extra water. I didn't want to overwhelm the image. Whenever I squeeze my pen, I always do it away from my image, because there are some instances with any water pen that too much comes out at once, and then it spills all over your image or your painting, and it can ruin something. So I've had that happen to me before. So I just have, I just squeeze it outside, and then I dab it off on my paper towel to get any excess off, and then I go in and start watercoloring from there. So that's a little trick that I use with my water pen, and it works perfectly for me. I just absolutely love it. Now I'm going to go in with my Distress inks. I'm going to blend those on my Bristol Smooth 300 paper, and the Distress inks I'm using are Mermaid Lagoon, and then I blend it almost half, it's about a little bit more than three-fourths of the way down, and then I go in with my peacock feathers. So the Mermaid Lagoon blends flawlessly. The only issue I have is my peacock feathers. I don't know if I got one that is a little bit drier for some reason or older off the shelf, but it is not very juicy, and I really have to dig in to get the color payoff that I want. Now cracked pistachio, that went in wonderful, and then the mowed lawn at the end here. I didn't do as much mowed lawn because I don't want my whole card to look green, because that can definitely overwhelm the card very quickly. Then at the very end, I just went back in with whatever was left on my Mermaid Lagoon blender, and I just blended that all through. I let this dry for a good while. While I was doing my fussy cutting, I let this dry as well. So I was doing my fussy cutting after I did this. I just wanted to make sure it was dry, because Distress inks, they do take a while. I did hit it with my heat gun as well to make sure that I wasn't going to have any issues. Then I went in with my powder tool, and I tapped the top vigorously I wanted powder everywhere. There was no way I was going to take a chance on my embossing powder sticking to this piece. So what I did was this new stencil that I got. This is a circle stencil. I like to call it Bubbles. That's the reason why I bought it, was because it looked like bubbles to me. And I took this new pen. This is a glue pen. And I went through all the rings of the circles with that glue pen. And it took a few minutes. I mean, it didn't take super long, but I just made sure that it was, you know, nice and well wet with the pen. And then I poured that embossing powder that we got in the monthly kit, the Mermaid shimmer one, and I just poured that embossing powder on that glue, and it worked out so well. I mean, you could totally tell where my hand slipped when I was doing the circles, and it made it a little bit deeper in some areas. But, you know, that is hand drawn for you, I guess you could say. I mean, it's a handmade card. It's supposed to look like, you know, love was put into it. But I want it to look perfect as well. So I went in with my gel pen and I just added accents to all the bubbles to make them look more like bubbles and not just circles. And I really enjoyed the way that turned out. With that glue pen, I can use that for so much. I can put all kinds of embossing accents on my cards. I have so many ideas with that because I do like to draw. So I could draw whatever I wanted on my card and then use my embossing powder and heat emboss it and have my own design on my card. So really enjoyed that. I really thought that was really cool how this embossing powder stuck to it so well. So now I'm going in with my Tombow mono glue. And I'm just going to be putting down all of my seagrasses that I fussy cut it out. So what I do with this is I put the glue down, and then I take my acrylic block, and I just set that down on it. So while I'm gluing the next piece, that piece has time to dry. And I did fast forward past them, and I did cut out me putting the glue on each one because I didn't want you guys to sit here forever. This video was already quite long. So I just kind of just went and did a little rhythm there, glue, acrylic block, glue, acrylic block. And there was a little spot that I missed with the grass, but I was able to fix that. I just really love the way that little clam turned out. She looks so pretty. I just really like that. I love those colors for that little clam. So I'm just finishing up putting on my little seashells and my seagrass and my sea plants. I should have did these plants a different color than the grass, but I figured that I didn't know how I was going to place them, so I didn't know if I needed more of a filler or not. But it worked out. It all turned out well. I ended up cutting one of the seagrasses just to make it look like it was taller, so the clam was sitting in front of it, or the sea flowers. Then I just popped my little mermaid up on some double-sided foam tape and just put her up in the center of that card, like she has picked that starfish from the ground and she is going to the surface with it, or just examining it, you know, just looking at how beautiful it is. And then I saw this piece of paper in my Mermazing booklet that I showed you guys with my last video. And this is how you can use papers like this, something that you normally wouldn't have used for your cards. This is a way to use it, because I'm not going to need the center of this piece of paper. I just need the border, and I like the metallic hollow border of the of this paper, and it worked out perfectly. There was a piece of paper that probably wouldn't have gotten used, and I found a way to use it, and it turned out perfect. I just absolutely love it. And then I'm just going to stamp in the inside of my card. I never show you guys that I actually do finish the inside of my cards, so I'm going to start showing you guys what I stamp on the inside. So there wasn't room for a sentiment on the outside, so I figured I would just put one on the inside. So with this, I put a little clam, a little starfish, and I stamped, "There are a million fish in the sea, but you are a mermaid." And that finishes up my card today. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I just love the way this card turned out. And I just really want to thank you guys for sticking around and watching my video. I know it was a little bit longer, but I really do appreciate you guys. And I will be doing a giveaway coming up real soon, so stay tuned for that. I can't wait. I'm super excited. So please subscribe and come back and see me for future videos. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye!